New year, new mindset, time for a refresh. I have been putting off this financial reset for 10 months. So, first of the year, let's all do it together. Also, though, everyone seems to be in their soft girl era nowadays, and I'm here for that. Me too. So, we're taking it gentle with this year's financial goals. At least I am. Then, after we go through the steps, I'm actually going to go through my monthly budget as well as my annual budget, line by line, to ask myself, does this expense still make sense for me in the year to come? So if you're looking to get your finances under control, but in a gentle, balanced approach, let's jump in. Step one, the most important thing to do with any goal is ask yourself why. Why? Why do you want financial goals? I know that sounds like a really dumb question, but I'm serious. Get real down in the nitty-gritty with yourself, and why do you want to be different? Why do you want to change your financial situation? And there's so much evidence about the importance of having a why to any goal. You don't need to hear it reiterated from me, but financially speaking, I think it's insanely important. Unfortunately, it's the norm to, instead of having the money in your bank account, you're walking around with it on your body, or you're driving in it, or you're sitting in it, right? And maybe you're starting to have thoughts of, you know what? Why am I doing this? Why do I need to operate this way? Why do I need so much? And maybe you're like, you know what? Maybe I do want to start keeping more of my money in my bank account and putting less emphasis on these exterior things that don't actually impact my life, other than they just are draining my finances. Or maybe it's like not that dramatic at all, and you're just like, you know what, I just want to like save up a little bit, build an emergency fund. I also know most people do not have an emergency fund or cannot cover an emergency expense that comes up, and that doesn't feel safe for you, and so you just want to build that. Whatever your why is, get deep into it, lean into that, write it down somewhere, blast it on the wall if you need to, whatever you need to do to keep it at the forefront of your mind. Because if you don't have a why, if you don't have some burning desire to do better, want better, do differently, you're just not going to stick with it. So first and foremost, get comfortable with your why, because I can tell you right now, when you start to want to do differently with your finances, people are not going to want to talk to you about it, and they're going to look at you funny. The next thing I think is super important, and probably you're going to be like, well, duh, but reflect. You must look back to move forward. So if you had a budget, how did it go? Realistically, how did it go? If you didn't have a budget, you're totally new to this whole financial getting your shit together thing. Start there. And how I would recommend doing that is looking back at your last 3 months of bank statements, your credit card, your bank account, your PayPal, your Grubhub, your Vent, you know what I'm saying. Everything, just do 2 to 3 months back. Don't try to do the whole year, last year. That's overwhelming. Just do a few months. That's the most accurate representation of kind of what you're spending right now. And then that way you'll have a base of, okay, here's what I've been spending, here's what I have to work with. And as you're looking back through your bank statements, lump things into categories. How much did you spend on food? How much of it was groceries versus eating out, if that's something that you want to try to keep an eye on? Or how much did you spend on clothing? How much did you spend on impulse buying? How much did you spend on traveling? Lump everything into categories. See if anything shocks you and you're like, holy shit, I spent way too much eating out, or I spent way too much on travel, whatever it is. See where you're at, and then kind of base your goals off from that. If you are just starting fresh and you don't know where to start, but once you have all your numbers and your categories tallied, and then you get the true value of how much you've been spending on things, that's probably already getting your lines of thought thinking about, okay, well, that feels like that was way too much for me, or, that category felt right. I'll keep that going, and then you can build your budget from there. So once you have your deep-seated why of why you want to change your financial situation, and you've reflected back on the last year and how that went for you, then you want to set your goals. What do you want to achieve for the year to come? Are you hoping to max out your retirement accounts this year? Are you looking to pay off debt this year? Are you hoping to stop using credit cards? Are you wanting to just cut back on eating out because you want to save up for a home, or I don't know, whatever it is. Set your goals. Write them down. Write them down. That's such a critical step. And it's just whatever the science is, but we all know writing them down somehow psychologically cements them. And then stick that on the wall next to your why. Stick it on the wall, put it in your face, on your fridge, wherever. Write it down. And then the next step, which I think is the most involved step, the most ongoing thing that you're going to be routinely doing more than just this once per year thing, is going back through your budget. Do all of my monthly expenses make sense to me? Do I need all of these subscription streaming services? Am I actually watching all of this stuff? Is it making sense for me? What about your annual expenses? Are there things that you pay annually? Are there things you pay monthly that could be annually and save you a little bit of money, like car insurance and cell phone? I do both of those annually because it's cheaper. Or maybe you can consider things like switching cell phone carriers. I know I was insanely hesitant to switch to Mint Mobile because I didn't know how it would be not having an actual physical store to go into, and it was scary, but eventually, I wisened up, got on board, and they actually use the same exact cell phone towers as the company I was using before. However, I'm now saving $30 a month, and plus, Mint Mobile lets you pay annually. So it's like $370 for the year for fully unlimited everything. That just makes so much more sense to me. And you can use whatever phone you want. And on that foot, don't forget to ask yourself, do you need the newest iPhone every year? That's a personal question, but I'm just, you know what, some food for thought. And also, don't forget, you can always call your utilities or your car insurance company or whoever and see if you can negotiate a smaller bill. That is totally doable, and the worst they can say is no. And while I'm going through my budget, I also want to be asking myself, is there any way to make any of this easier on myself? And I love to automate things because it means I'm not having to remember to do them. And I know that can be scary at first. When you are operating with a bank account that's always like skimming the edge of whoopsie, trust me, I've been there. I have paid thousands of dollars in overdraft fees in my lifetime. It's absolutely disgusting, but it is what it is. There's nothing we can change about the past. We're just trying to do better going forward. So I was very reluctant to automate paying my bills because I was so afraid that I was going to forget a bill was coming and it was going to be drafted out of my account and overdrafted. I also kind of neurotically wanted my fingers in my money, as in, no, I want to make sure the bill is paid because I want to go in, log in, pay it, and just like get the confirmation email and feel great about that. So automating your expenses can take a certain comfort level for you to build up to. So if you're not there yet, that's totally okay. Give yourself some time with just operating with a budget first and seeing how that goes. And then later down the line, you can think about automating things if you want to. But automating doesn't even have to just be about your monthly bills either. Something that I have really loved and has worked out really well for me is automating my savings. And how I do that, instead of every paycheck, oh, I need to log in today and transfer money over to this other account where my emergency fund is, or whatever I'm saving up for. I took that concept a step further and have set up my direct deposits to automatically shave off the amount of savings I want to save and deposit it into its own bank account wherever I'm saving. That's a really great tool to use if you know that you do have extra money, you've been spending too much because you have it or whatever. If you just take that money out of the equation by having your employer drop it in your savings account instead of your checking account, it's just like out of sight, out of mind, and then you're just operating on what's left. And so it can be a way to help make sure you are actually saving money instead of just waiting till the end of the pay period and hoping that you have some left over. We all already know that doesn't work. You're gonna spend it, so you might as well just get ahead of that. And don't get overwhelmed and feel like you have to go balls to the wall. Start with $20. Can I spend $20 less per pay period. Nowadays, that's not even enough to get one thing of takeout. So, it's personal, but challenge yourself a little bit more over time. Don't get overwhelmed. But those are really, I think, the big 4 pillars of doing a financial reset. Start with why. Find your emotional, deep-seated feeling about why you want to change your financial goals. Write it down, throw it in your face every day, whatever you need to do to cling on to that why. And then reflect on your previous year. How did it go? What changed throughout the year? What's different now? What are you expecting coming forward? Reflect, reflect, reflect. 3, set your goals. What do you want to achieve this year? And then 4th, going back through your budget to reevaluate all of your expenses. Do they still make sense for you? Where can you improve? How do you want to improve? What steps like automation can you use to your benefit to help you move in the right direction? And this isn't necessarily a step, but something I think is important for everyone to keep in the back of their mind is not to just only focus on the outgoing, but also focus on the incoming. Are there things you can do to make more money? Can you focus on high value skills at work and maybe negotiate a raise? Are there any side hustles that might be interesting to you that you feel like you could totally accomplish? And I'm not going to list those. There's 1.5 million, but are there other things you can be doing to increase your income in any way? It doesn't always have to be a focus on the outgoing. It's something to keep in mind. So I know that seems short and sweet, but like I said, this is the year of gentleness and balance. Something Rachel has desperately needed for several years, but that's okay. We're doing it now. Speaking of that, it is time to go through my budget. Okay, so here's the little snippet of my monthly expenses. There are things that are common monthly expenses that are not in mine, like cell phone bill and car insurance. That's because I pay those annually, like I already kind of mentioned, but we'll talk about those in a minute when we go through the annual expenses. For now, let's hit the monthlies. Of course, first and foremost, biggest expense is housing. My rent is $15.55. That just went up for December, and so it's not changing again until December of 2024, but hopefully I won't be here anymore. You all know I'm house hack shopping. Holy crap. Now, I have an empty line here because I am adding a new monthly expense for 2024. And if y'all were around to see the 8 days where my back was wrenched and I couldn't stand upright, then you'll understand why I'm adding in a new monthly expense called mobility training. This is something I've been wanting to do for years. I've been looking at it, but have not been willing I have not been willing to pay for it. There's a particular program I've been wanting to try because it's like the only one I've seen, and his reviews are like rave reviews. So on Instagram, he is beard the best you can be. Hang on, let me double check. I think it's oh my god, hello, first thing that pops up. Beard the best you can be. And girlfriend was not in the best place she could be as far as mobility goes. When was that? A few weeks back? I don't know. It wasn't pretty. Either way, I realize now as I'm aging the importance of mobility training, and so I want to see how that impacts not only my back pain but just everything. And I can tell you right now, I'm 3 days in, and to be able to spring up out of bed and not do the slow crunch, oh my god, of stiffness in 3 days is like, I'll report back and let you know how it's going. But that is $60 a month. It's not cheap. And there's no option of annual reduced price. Let me pay this all at once. So even though I have a very strong aversion to monthly bills, this is one that I am feeling like is incredibly important for my health, longevity, all of those important things. And that is something we are prioritizing more in 2024, physical health as well as mental health. So $60 a month is a lot, but it's okay. It's eating out one last time, if we're being honest. So anyway, electricity, $60 a month. That's like a pretty comfortable yearly average. So I'm not changing that. Internet, since I've been in this place for over 2 years now, in November, I fell out of the like 2-year introductory rate bullshit with Xfinity. So had to call them and negotiate. But unfortunately, with most cable and internet providers, that means they have to put you back into a new contract for 2 years. But whatever, it's $65 a month now, and I'll have to pay to break the contract when I move. If I don't take them with me, hopefully I won't have to. It is what it is. And then Mohila is my student loan servicer. That is not going to change until my income changes. So hopefully April, May, I think, is when we do our annual reviews and I can get a raise. But for now, it's not changing. The gym, $15 a month. That membership is not going anywhere despite the addition of the mobility training, which is totally doable at home, by the way. You don't need gym equipment for the mobility training program. But I'm keeping my gym membership because weightlifting is a deep-seated passion of mine. Like, obviously, I'm not a big bodybuilder or anything like that, but I absolutely value it as a mental health thing for me. It's very stress relieving. And I just feel physically better when I do it. Plus, I know it's incredibly important for health and longevity. Ladies, I'm speaking at you. We're all aging gracefully over here. But if you're concerned about osteoporosis, it's very good for increasing your bone density. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. Okay, Netflix did go up in their rates. For January or maybe for December. I don't remember. Whatever. I don't have the base model. I have a high base subscription. I have a higher subscription because my parents and my brother both use my Netflix account, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Food/household, $500 a month. I am on a personal quest for 2024 of eating more locally, more seasonally, as zero waste as I can. And so those things might be impacting my food budget for 2024, but I'm interested to see how it's going to impact my food budget. So if you're curious about that, let's see how it goes. Am I going to spend more or less shopping that way? We'll find out, but I'm leaving it at $500 for now. Gas and car wash. So you guys know I drive a lot, especially in the summer. I like to be out and about, so I do spend a good amount on gas, which I don't love environmentally speaking. But also with my new job, I do field work, and for those field projects, when I am traveling out and about, they provide mileage reimbursement, which is always more than I actually spent on the gas for the day. So that's been helping offset my gas for the last few months. However, that's going to be scaling back for 2024, so I don't want to cut my gas budget too much, but I'm going to drop it down to $100. That seems good for now, and certainly can reevaluate as the year goes on. Pet supplies, holy crap. You guys know I've been talking about making a sinking fund for that for months and months, and I just haven't, but I'm going to take it up to $50 a month, just because when I do order, it's always a bulk order of food and litter together, so it's like $80 generally. Then some months I order $0, so who cares? Investing. I have an investing goal of $100 a month in addition to my 401k. I do a 6% contribution to my 401k every paycheck, and just because that is the most that my employer will match. And so this is in addition to that. So this is like my Roth or Fundrise or whatever I feel like investing in the moment. Donate. I'm not changing my $50 a month donation. Savings. I had a savings goal of $1,000 a month, and I'm going to drop that down a bit for 2024. I've been consistently, comfortably able to save between $500 and $600 a month for the last several months now, since I did change jobs in February and take a real big pay cut. So, whoops, that's not what I wanted. So I'm going to put that at $600. I've been doing $500 to $600, but I want to keep myself challenged. So I'll put $600, and then later on, as things change, if I do get a raise, if my housing expenses change, we'll reevaluate. And then my spending. You guys know I did a low buy year in 2023, and I capped my personal spending, material item spending at $300 a month, which has not been hard for me. I'm not consumeristic, materialistic person anyway, so I don't care about shopping and spending money, but it happens. And 300 felt very comfortable for me, so I'm gonna leave it there. And then also with the caveat this year, in 2023, I let myself go ham with experience spending. I did not cap myself. I went to every concert and music festival I could find because live music is the ultimate self-care happiness thing for me, and I'm keeping that going for 2024, but I'm trying to be smarter and more frugal about it, so I want to plan ahead better and try my best to lump my experience spending into that $300 a month personal spending as well, but we'll see how it goes. And then I of course leave that at 0, but shit happens every single month, it seems like, that comes up unexpectedly, so we're just going to leave it at 0. But that's it. That's it. So unfortunately, we took a couple hits there with an increase by adding a monthly bill and a decrease in our savings, but that's just the reality. And I need to keep in mind that I took a 50% pay cut earlier this year and didn't reevaluate. Considering that this is the first evaluation since that pay cut, I think this is pretty dang solid. It's only a couple $100 different. So I feel great about this. So let's move on to the annual expenses. So here's a little snip of what my annual expenses look like, and I have them broken down by personal and business. I like to keep them separate for tax reasons, and they're in separate bank accounts. In the personal, I only have 4 annual expenses: car insurance, a weightlifting program that I have been loving, but I don't think I'm going to continue moving forward for 2024, so I'm gonna delete that here in just a second. But then cell phone bill, and then my yearly my vehicles, like safety subscription service. Basically, it allows me to start my car from my phone, so I don't ever have to be cold because I'm a prissy bitch. So we're keeping that one, but we are gonna delete that one weightlifting program. Unfortunately, I love it. Like I said, weightlifting is my jam, but it's kind of expensive, and the principles from it I'm going to carry forward, but anyway. And then for business shit, tax prep, kind of essential. Yeah, I pay a lot for that, but there's a lot going on in my finances there's things like my rental property. I don't have any idea how to handle those kind of expenses, so I'm going to leave that kind of shit to the pros, you know what I mean? And then active trustee, because I do have a rental property that's in an LLC and under a business entity. I have to have an active trustee to operate my business on my behalf, basically. So that's an annual expense that's not going anywhere. But these next two, yep, as you can see from the note, Epidemic Sound and Skillshare, I did not use those in 2024. They're not a useful, helpful expense for me. So even though they're a business deduction, it just, no, I don't use them. So those are both going away. And I'm saving myself about $250 a year in business expenses. I'm very happy about that. But Canva, absolutely use that sucker. That's not going anywhere. My state business license, I have to have that to operate as a business holder in New Hampshire. And same with my registered agent. I have to have someone on my behalf living in Missouri where my rental property is so they can handle the legal shit on my behalf, and that isn't going anywhere either. And same with my LLC and business fees. Those are annual expenses that are just a fact of operating a business or LLC. So Yay! 3 annual expenses we were able to say goodbye to, even though we said hello to a new monthly expense. It's okay. But that's it. That's just the quick and dirty financial audit of what I've been operating on for years now. So just as a note, that seemed very quick and easy, but that's only because I am 8 years deep into spreadsheet budgeting and tracking my finances at this point. So it's just all very even keel. It's a boring, happy budget. And I think when it comes to budgets, boring is beautiful. So if you are just starting out and things feel chaotic when you're doing your reset, please have patience with yourself and always remember it's going to take time to get familiar with anything. Like any new skill, handling money is a skill that gets better with practice. So don't beat yourself up. Be gentle on yourself. Please remember that mental health and physical health are the ultimate wealth. Don't get wrapped around the axle about every little penny. That does not the best for your mental health, and it just takes up a lot of your time and mental bandwidth that you don't need to be really getting deep into. But if you do find yourself wanting more accountability or motivation, join the Transfer Tuesday bandwagon. Y'all, it has been life-changing for my own personal finance journey without weekly accountability, and yes, sharing it all with you every single week, every single Tuesday has been the ultimate form of accountability, and I love y'all for being here. Absolutely. To my core, I appreciate you guys so very much. So if you want to join us, definitely feel free. My own personal journey with finances has been a wild friggin' ride. I started with almost $250,000 in debt, and I've slowly been scraping my way out of that, and I've come a long way, but I have a lot further to go. So certainly feel free to join if you're into that kind of thing. I'm going to link a video right here for you guys if you are wanting a little bit more about my story and my other goals that I have for 2024. You can check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye.